Hi there, welcome. My name is Jerrel. I'm a commercial games developer and I also make homebrew games for legacy consoles for free. So today I want to look at the trailer for Bleach Rebirth of Souls, which is such a cool trailer. I think they've done such a great job making a cool trailer, but you would expect that for something like Bleach. So I will be doing a developer analysis on this. I won't be looking at this trailer as a fan of Bleach, which I am. I'm a pretty big fan of Bleach, but I won't be looking at it as a viewer or as a gamer. I'll be analyzing this trailer as a game developer. I'll be pointing out some things that I really like, that I'm impressed with, that I want to share with you guys that I think they're just neat details. So I'm playing the trailer here at a slower speed. This is around 70% or so, because the trailer is cut so fast, the cuts are so short that it's kind of hard to really focus on any particular thing. So there is a disclaimer that says that it's still in development. There are things here that I can see that I'm hoping they'll address. As it looks, a couple things are still a little early in development. And I just want to start here. I'll sort of go through in a chronological timeline here. So we kind of get our a first look at the gameplay visuals here at about 20 seconds in. And this is a great start. This, to me, tells me that there's someone on the development team who has a very strong background with visual design and art. The composition here, the placement of the lighting, the dynamic, the use of color. This is not something that you just accidentally do as a game developer. This is something that's done with intent. So to me, it's clear that there's someone on the development team with some artistic background, which isn't always true in games. There's a very nice dolly zoom here when the camera well, actually I sort of skipped ahead a little bit, but let's see, we'll wait here when it gets to Ichigo's look here at 40. Oh, that's it. I need to go to 43 here. So there's a really nice dolly zoom here that we see in movies, and you can see it feels like the background, the environment's getting bigger while the camera zooms in to Ichigo. So that to me tells me someone on the development team is either a fan of cinema and really pays attention to cinematic techniques, or someone on the development team has a background in photography. That is such a cool effect that they use again later on, and it makes things interesting to use that dolly zoom here. And it's just such a cool effect. It makes it feel like the world is getting bigger around a character, and it makes the character feel smaller and weaker in a scene, and it's such a dramatic impact. So that's really neat. I really like that effect there. Also, the positional, the composition and placing of Rukia and the hollow there indicates to me some cinematic competence. Instead of sort of zooming around, in many games we'll see the camera just randomly move around and zoom in and try to look cool for no reason. But in this situation, we see the camera maintain the position of Rukia on the right, Hollow on the left, and they've cut the trailer, but I'm sure the camera sort of pulls to the side a bit, and that makes it so that the characters or the viewer isn't confused with their eyes sort of having to search and parse the scene as characters move around in terms of their placement. So those few things that I've pointed out so far tell me that there's someone on the team with a very strong photographic or cinematography, whatever the word is. There's someone on the development team or some people with a strong background in that, which I really like to see in games. Again, we don't always see that on development teams, and we see games just looking flashy and random without a real understanding of photographic meaning or cinema. Why can't I say that word? Okay, so something I find very impressive here, I'm going to jump ahead to 107, is the use of variable line width. So, for example, you see the outline effect that we have on the character is, say, for example, you have a thicker line here and it gets thinner as it goes around there. You have thinner lines on the lips, thicker on the bottom, especially on the hair as well. You see variable line width. That is so great. That's something that we couldn't do, say, for example, on like the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 era. That wasn't really something that, well, we didn't see that at all. That's something that we can do these days where we have more advanced visual effects for those sort of things, and it really helps it look very close to the hand-drawn art that we see from Tite Kubo and from the anime as well, and I really appreciate the attention to detail, and it just looks fantastic. It shows that the development team is trying to match that art style. This also looks so great. This is probably one of my favorite shots in... Not my favorite. There's shots here that are even better. But what's so fantastic here, let's go ahead and move that out of the way, is this sort of gradient lighting, and I'm not sure if this is editing from the trailer or part of the game itself, but you have, and it's likely that this is not actually part of the character model. This is more likely an effect that's placed over the screen, but you have sort of a highlight here around his eye, and then you have a gradient, sort of a darkening as we get farther away from that. That to me looks like a screen effect, but very nice the way they've achieved it. What I really like here is the subtle highlight we have on the character. So this is a ramp shader. It gives it that toon effect. And you can see we have, you know, that harsh separation between the shadow and the midtones, and you have very subtle highlight here. And you can see it here. I really like that. It's a very nice effect. It doesn't exactly look like the anime. The anime doesn't exactly do that, but it's a very nice effect. And again, in combination with that gradient, very nice effect. There's only one thing that lets this down here in terms of sort of matching the anime, and that's this highlight here doesn't really belong there. That's not how it would have been done in terms of hand-drawn. It just makes this bottom part of his suborbital part of his eye here really pop out. It pops out a bit too much. There isn't really too much you can do about that because this is real-time lighting, and you kind of have to let the game engine do what it's going to do. So there's nothing they can do about that, but to me that sticks out just a bit too much. And lastly, what I want to point out is the rim lighting on the hair. So just on the outside of the hair, we have this very nice highlight that helps the hair pop. It makes it feel lively, and again, it brings it 5 steps closer to feeling like the anime, which is what we want. We want this to look like the anime, and boy howdy, that looks fantastic. Great job on the development team here for making this look so eye-catching, very visually pleasing. It's so competently done. I would say that it's masterfully done. When it comes to game development, there's either a degree of competence or mastery. And if you don't have those, then you have incompetence. And this is a degree of visual mastery right here, especially with the highlights on the Shihakusho there. Really fantastic. So well done on the development team. I'm just very impressed with what they've achieved here. Okay, let's go ahead and move to 120. I mean, all this stuff is quite nice here, but on my notes here, I have at 120. Here is something that I find impressive is, hold on, if I can pause it at just the right time here. Oh, come on, if I can just get back to the right frame. It's hard to get that right frame here. If you pause it at just the right frame just there, I was going to say his knuckle control is insane. Okay, try this. Try this right now. Try and keep your middle knuckles perfectly straight and bend just your first knuckles on your fingers. It's difficult. I tried it myself. Being able to do that, you'd have to have insane knuckle control. I just thought that was funny. Obviously, that's just... I paused it at just the right frame for it to look funny, so try that. It's very difficult. I'm impressed with his knuckle control. What I wanted to point out here are the folds on the fabric here along that part of his collar. It's so true to the anime in terms of how they've done that. It just looks so great. I'm impressed with that. It looks fantastic. And I want to skip ahead a second here. Let's see at... This is a frame that I really like. And again, the rim lighting on the hair just really, it really pops. Otherwise the character can fall, like the hair can fall into the background. You can see it's a dark background. He's got dark hair. If you don't have that, it falls into the background. So this helps the characters look visually striking and they stand out. Very well done. Very well done on the developers here. On 129, I have on my notes, who was that character? He wasn't even at the end of the anime, so I don't remember who that is. At 129, I really like this. The fluid, expressive animation on the sword wrap. I'm very impressed with the animators on this here. They've done such a great job. Just look how fluid and expressive that sword wrap is as it moves. It's such a small thing, but it really contributes to the overall vibe of Bleach. And what Bleach is all about is it is a visual spectacle, and it's just so cool to look at. So the developers, this tells me they really understand what makes Bleach appealing. They understand why people like Bleach, and they're focusing on those things. Something that's interesting here is that in this section of gameplay, I want to believe this is because it's still early in development, but the clothes are not fully physics animated. And what I mean by that is, if we go back here, it only appears for a second. And I want to believe, again, this is because it's not far enough in development yet, but the clothes are not fully physics animated, which means they're not fully simulating physics. They may have things like the sleeves and the collars are reacting to movement and wind, but the way that the clothes bend into the body like that, and then there's this weird, I'll move that, there's this harsh angle here on the pants. Come on now. Okay. Just move there, please. Okay. It doesn't want to listen to me exactly. Okay. There's this harsh angle here, and that tells me that these clothes are not fully physics animated. Now, we have the technology in games for that. We've seen plenty of games where the clothes are fully physics animated, and so there isn't a reason why they should not be implementing full physics animation, because something like this looks so awkward when the rest of the game looks so fluid and fantastic. And then you have this huge open, okay, you have this open cavernous maw here on his sleeve, and it's awkward because what's keeping his sleeve open and round like that? You have this harsh bend. If the clothes were physics animated, then that would drape evenly and naturally on his arm, and if it was fully physics animated, the clothes would they would compress naturally and they would bend outward, and his body wouldn't look like it's at this harsh angle, and we wouldn't have this harsh angle here. And implementing that is not even difficult. For example, like if you're using Unity, you can go and onto the Unity Asset Store and you can purchase a solution for clothing simulation. Unity has clothing simulation built in, but it's very slow and it's not actually worth using. It's kind of there as like it's like a spit in the face. Like Unity built-in solutions are often just unusable because they're so slow and glitchy. But you can go onto the Unity Asset Store and replace Unity's built-in solution for clothing simulation for something that is very performant and does not take a lot of time to implement once you learn how to use it. And it's a bit of a shame that we're seeing that the clothes are not fully physics animated here, because it could be looking so much better. And again, it is a common solution. It is used in many video games. This is a situation where the game would very much benefit from having full physics simulations on the clothes. So I've sort of harped on that a little bit, but it's a big deal in this situation because of the characters' clothes, because of the Shuhakusho, because of Tite Kubo's designs have such free-flowing, expressive designs on the characters. This is a situation where the game should be using full physics animation or full physics simulation for that. I really like this. Just impresses me to no end. The attention to detail with the lines on the eyes, especially down here along the nose. It's very true to Tite Kubo's art. To me, it tells me that the people that are working on this game, the developers, really like Bleach. They do actually care about Bleach. They are likely fans of Bleach like I am. So the attention to detail here to make it look like Tite Kubo's art, to make it look like the anime, it's very small details like this. As gamers, we're not going to notice those things. We don't pick it out and go, oh, that looks great. But it's all of these small elements coming together that build the final product and that build the end experience. And I'm just so impressed. So I probably should stop harping on about that. I'm probably spending a bit too much time on that. And from the gameplay here, we can see it is an arena fighter. That's really the first shot we get of what the game's going to be, and it looks like every other anime arena fighter. It doesn't seem unique, which is a little disappointing to me. I was kind of hoping it would be something like an adventure game or an RPG. An adventure RPG. We have so many arena fighters that I don't really have fun playing them. That's just my personal thing. But I'm sure the game is going to be great. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I'm just saying that I don't find arena fighters that fun past the first 10 to 15 minutes. But that being said, Bleach is all about spectacle. And this looks fantastic. And seeing Bleach characters do stuff, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fantastic, especially with the fluid, expressive animations on the characters like that. Very well done. I pointed out something here on 131, is that I noticed here, is that the characters' slashes emit light. You can see that because the shadows on the ground sort of fade in and out. So the slashes emit light, which is very cool. I like that, but in this situation, it's being overused. This is an effect that we generally see for special attacks when we want to make an attack look really powerful. And in this situation, it's being used for standard attacks. I'm admittedly, though, Ichigo is in his enhanced form. You know, he's kind of stronger in this form, his Bankai, but I think they're overusing that lighting effect, because when you do that, it makes it harder to express a sense of power when a character does do a special attack, and then there's all the dynamic lighting that comes off of that. It makes it blend in with the normal attacks. So I think they've overused that a little bit. Not really a problem, you know. I'm not saying that's a negative or anything. I'm just saying that it kind of becomes visual noise when everything looks like the most powerful attack. So there's something that I'm really impressed with here that I'm going to bring up. But firstly, I just wanted to point out that I'm interested to see how they're going to animate Renji's sword, because I personally would not want to animate Renji's sword. I see that the sword starts here, but at some point the blade becomes invisible and it's replaced with streaks, which is very smart, because animating this thing fully would be an absolute nightmare. I would not want to do it. But let's go ahead and pause it, and I can't... It's... we don't see enough here in the trailer, but I have a feeling that they may have hidden the mesh on that and replaced it with streaks, which is a very smart idea, because it would be a nightmare to animate that. You can see it stretching out really far. So I think they do a mesh replacement where they sort of hidden the base mesh and have other mesh, like a sort of a streak mesh. A smart idea to do that, because animating that's gonna be a nightmare. So I'm impressed with the way they've handled that. And there is something here that is really fantastic. This impact frame, I just admire this. The world turns black and white, and the second part of the impact frame, it goes into this crimson tone, where it's not back to full color, but straight from black and white to this red tone. Oh, fantastic. Chef's kiss. The developers of this really understand how to make things visually pop, how to give things great impact frames. I'm so impressed with that. It's so great. Okay, so I'm going on way too long in this video. There's a couple more things that I just want to point out, you know, sort of going back to physics animation on the clothes. You can see here that the pants are not physics animated and actually looks quite chunky. I'm kind of hoping this is just because this video footage is taken from earlier in development, but you can see like the pants don't physics animate and it looks really chunky. I'm really hoping the end product isn't like that, but I assume it's just because that was earlier from development. And something that's great here is 150. I'll wrap things up here. I think the video's gone on a little too long here. Is this impact frame here, or it's not an impact frame, it's the effect of this red coming up and Ichigo's summoning his hollow mask. So I'll go back to that again. There's a technical term for this in the industry, that effect there, where, you know, sort of a rippling with wind and this red energy coming up. And the technical term that we use for that in the industry is called sick as hell. And so this is what us game developers called sick as hell, because that is really That's sick as hell. I mean, look at that. Fantastic. So that's it for my analysis. Those are all the elements that I wanted to point out, you know. Great use of color, great visual design. There's strong developers on this. They display an absolute understanding of what they're doing, and we don't always see that. So what we see in the trailer goes beyond competence. They display a mastery of visual design and expression of animation. Really fantastic. The only problem I see is that clothes are not fully physics animated when they should be, and because there is no Switch version, this is running on powerful hardware. There is no excuse for the clothing to not be physics animated. The only reason you wouldn't have physics animation is because you have a Switch version, and the Switch would have performance issues with that, so there's no reason for that. So I've probably went on way too long. Thanks for watching. This shouldn't have been a 20-minute video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that analysis. If you would like to see more, if there's games you want to request, go ahead and put that in the comment section. I launched a new game on the Switch a couple weeks ago. If you want to check that out, I have videos on my channel. Thanks for watching. Okay, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.